In this demonstration, I'm going to show you how to create a new base enumeration, and we're going to set some key properties for that base enum. So I have my project open. You can see here we have our label file and our resource that we added earlier. So the first thing I'm going to do is right click on the project. I'm going to go to Add, and then I'm going to click New Item. On the left-hand side here, we can navigate through the different element types that we can create. If we click on data types, this is where I can create a new base enumeration. So I'll select base enum, and then I can go ahead and name this. So the first one I'm going to create is going to be named DB drive type. Now I'm putting this DB kind of prefix on the name of this enum just to kind of help with naming conventions later so that I know it's for this development course. So I'm going to put DB in front of all of my elements that I create for this specific project so I know it belongs to this project. I'll go ahead and click Add, and now my new enum will be added to the project. And as you can see, once that's added to the project, the base enum is going to open up in the element designer. And then I can go ahead and set important properties over on the right-hand side. So I'm going to open up my properties a little bit further so we can see some more in here. Here I can set different properties like the style. So is this going to be a combo box or a radio button in the user interface? I can also set the label for this as well. So I can type in I can also scroll down and add things like help text, and then I can also specify if this base enum is going to be, whether it's going to support extensions or not. And I can say true or false to this. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add values to this new enum. So to do that, I'm going to right click on the top node of this base enumeration. I'm just going to click New Element. And as you can see here, this added a new base enum value 1. And we can see here that the enum value will automatically start at 0. So once I continue adding more base enum values, this enum value is the value that's going to be stored in our database. And it's always going to start at 0 and then go up from there. So I can go ahead and give this a name. So I'll go ahead and call this one front wheel drive, and then in the label, I'll go ahead and call it front wheel drive. I'll go ahead and right click on the main node again and click new element. I'll go ahead and give this another one. We're going to say rear wheel drive. And you can see here that I now have an enum value of 1 for our next one. I'm going to go ahead and create another element. And we are going to go ahead and call this one all-wheel drive. And I'm going to go ahead and make one more. So I'll right click, new element, and I'm going to go ahead and name this one four-wheel drive. Now, you'll notice that when I put a 4 in here, I cannot have my base enum begin with a number here. So it says I cannot rename to four-wheel drive. The name must begin with a letter or an underscore. So if I really wanted that 4 there, I can add the underscore, or I can just put in four-wheel drive like so. And then up in the label, I'll type in four-wheel drive. All right, so now I've added my DB drive type base enumeration with my values underneath it. So I'm just going to go ahead and click Save up in the top pane here. I could also right click on the element and save that specific element here as well. I'm going to go ahead and create one more base enum. So I'm going to right click on the project. We'll go to Add, New Item. We'll select base enum, and I'm going to call this one DB again. And I'm going to call this one DB status type for the status of our different vehicles. So I'll go ahead and click Add. And I'm going to add some values below this one for in repair, in detail, as well as in maintenance and out of service. So I'll go ahead and start adding my elements. I'll right click again. And I'll add my last one here by right clicking new element. I'm going to make this last one out of service. And you'll notice that I can put spaces in my label, of course. And I'll just go ahead and save this new base enum. So something else I would also like to point out here as well, in our Solution Explorer, you can kind of see all of our elements are just kind of all over the place here, and they're not really organized. And so in order to organize these by element type into their own folders, what we can do is go to the Dynamics 365 menu. We can then go to Options. And then if I click on the Dynamics 365 node and click Projects, I can organize my projects by element type. I can also specify if I want to synchronize the database on build for a newly created project. And I have another option here to disable the new project dialog when creating projects from an error list. So I'm just going to select this organize projects by element type. So it won't do it yet, but when I reopen, all of my elements will now be organized in a base enum folder, and then they'll all be below, and then we'll have label files. So it's a little bit easier to navigate through. So as you can see, we have now added two base enums, DB drive type and DB status type, with 4 different values below each one. I can then go ahead and just save, and I'm going to right click on my project and we'll go ahead and build our project.